The McLean County Regional Planning Commission is looking for public input to help update a transportation plan that benefits vulnerable populations across central Illinois. It's been about 9 years since the Regional Human Services Transportation Plan was last updated. People living in rural parts of 5 counties, including McLean, are being encouraged to complete a new survey that will shape the final plan. In this conversation with WGLT student reporter Evie York, senior transportation planner Jennifer Six says they are trying a lot of tactics to get public input.
We are using social media. We are using email. We have a pretty wide network. Again, we're asking our participating agencies and local governments to help us get the word out so that people know it's out there. Basically, anything we can think of that will help penetrate the airspace and make sure that people are aware that this is going on.
What is the Regional Human Services Transportation Plan?
It's part of a larger set of activities we carry out that help provide transportation to the general public, first of all, but also mostly to people who are involved with agencies that provide services to people with various needs. It can be people with disabilities, it can be seniors, a very long list of sort of categories of the population that need a little extra service.
So it's for 5 counties, and there are a lot of rural areas in those counties, right?
Correct.
So is this plan just for rural residents, or is it for everyone?
It's primarily directed at disadvantaged populations, so it's not so much rural or urban, although most of our providers, some of them are in urban areas, most are in smaller cities, and so it's treated by the sort of definitions as rural. So McLean County is the sort of base because that's where we are, but it also includes Livingston, Kankakee, which is also an urban county, but they're part of this group, Iroquois, and Ford counties. So Iroquois, Ford, and to some extent Livingston are pretty rural and have smaller populations, so it's a big area. Out of the 5 counties that we capture, 3 are among the largest counties in the state of Illinois by area. So if you're providing transportation, that's actually a challenge because there's a lot of distance to cover and people are sort of far flung. So that's part of it. Part of what the plan is supposed to do, and the reason we're doing a survey right now, and by the way, if your listeners are interested, they can find the survey on our website, McPlan, mcplan.org. We're looking for where people are not getting served, the gaps in the service, populations we haven't found yet, people we haven't found yet. And so the more we learn about everybody, everyone can tell us about their experiences, what their needs are, the better the chances that we can design service and find ways of providing it that will reach them all.
So if you live out in the county, it's really difficult for public transportation to be easily accessible. What options do those people have other than besides like calling a cab or finding a friend to drive them?
There is one very important resource. It's called SHOBUS, which is an acronym, but I won't go into it. And it is rural public transportation, which serves 9 counties, including all of the 5 in our Region 6, which is what this is called under the plan. They provide all kinds of service. They are operating under a variety of different agreements with the state of Illinois to provide rural public transportation service, and it's pretty robust. And if you call them, chances are they will find a connection for you. And I think in rural parts of these counties, they're better known than they are in Bloomington Normal, but every now and then you'll see a SHOBUS vehicle in town because they have, access in and out, basically. So that's our primary resource and our primary provider. And then most of the others are smaller agencies that primarily provide transportation for their own clients or customers, but not always. It depends.
What changes do you recommend to improve access to rural areas for people to get more transportation, and then how do you go about doing that?
It's a difficult question because really the limits are resource bound. Funding. Right at the moment, we have a little bit of a crisis in terms of the availability of vehicles. All the vehicles used by these services are provided by the state of Illinois, and they are fully equipped for essentially paratransit. They have wheelchair lifts, they have securements for wheelchairs, they have all kinds of features that you wouldn't find on an ordinary van or a small bus. So those are kind of in short supply at the moment, and we're just trying to find, stopgaps until the manufacturing can catch up with the demand.
From the last survey you guys sent out in 2015, what were the main takeaways that you found from that survey?
Well, a number of things, and coming from the providers, the organizations that actually provide transportation, a lot of it had to do with stability of funding, stability of those vehicles, being able to find resources when they needed them. There's a general concern, or there was a general concern, and it probably persists, especially in the rural areas, that it's simply hard to find rides that you need at the time you need them. That's true actually in Bloomington Normal as well. People who are looking to get to a doctor's appointment or a trip to a hospital or whatever, it can be difficult to schedule at exactly the time you want because, again, the resources are limited. So it's always a matter of constrained resources and being able to find workarounds so that people can get where they need to go and get back again in a timely fashion.
Did any changes to the plan result from those takeaways that you just mentioned?
Well, it's an ongoing problem, so yes. And the other thing is that there was a lot of sort of trauma basically caused by the pandemic. And so some agencies found themselves having to sort of realign their goals and missions. That's beginning to sort of creep back to normal now, but it's taking time. And because of the disruption that caused, we're finding sort of new issues that need to be addressed and looked at and studied more carefully so we can come up with a reasonable solution.
That's Jennifer Six, Senior Transportation Planner at the McLean County Regional Planning Commission. She spoke with WGLT student reporter Evie York. You can find the survey at WGLT.org. It's available in English and Spanish and is open until March 1st.